Detroit flipped the switch. Coverage priorities moved from talk to execution, and the boundary just became a fast lane. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, and ride with me because I'm laying out a clean, no-nonsense roadmap from cap to tape to locker room pulse. The kind of late October update that actually matters when the calendar hits elimination football. I'll show you why our front office narrowed its board to a very specific outside corner profile, how that profile amplifies what Aaron Glenn already calls on third and long, what the real price looks like in picks and future cash, where the risk lives and how coaching shrinks it, and why the payoff is not clicks, but stops, field flipping, clock killing, stops that win in January. If you're here for the good stuff, scheme fits, not rumor confetti, lock in now. And if you want these breakdowns the second they become actionable, tap subscribe and keep the bell on because this is the moment when disciplined teams separate from busy ones. Start with identity because that's our compass. Detroit plays complementary football, an offense that can lean on you for 4 quarters, a front that brings pressure without begging, and a secondary that is toughened up, communicates cleanly, and still has one lever left to pull when games compress into man-on-man situations. The leverage point that shows up in every playoff cut-up, boundary ISO, condensed splits, motion to stack, a quarterback hunting for the back shoulder or the glance when the rush is a tick late, you've seen it. We pass off bunch to perfection, squeeze the seam, but the ball still climbs the sideline against less than elite length and turns a punt into a DPI or a contested catch. That's why the conversation at Allen Park has never been add any corner, it's been add length, speed, ball skills, and recovery to let us live in more man without fearing the double move and make the quarterback hold the ball 1 heartbeat longer so the rush arrives on schedule. Order of operations matters here. Yes, more pass rush always helps, but a true outside CB with rare measurables unlocks the pressures already built into the call sheet, lets us show disguise to man and trust the matchup without rolling a safety over every snap, and that restraint becomes aggression elsewhere. Branch attacking crossers, safeties jumping glance routes, simulated pressures hitting because the first read is smothered. Now market temperature with 2 weeks to the November 4 deadline. Executives around the league don't whisper about just anyone in late October. When multiple decision-makers independently label the same long, elite speed press corner as a strong candidate, that's signal, not noise. The context is simple. Fit matters, systems evolve, and sometimes a player with absurd tools is asked to be something different than what makes him special. That's when smart contenders make the call, because traits plus the right room equals immediate value. I dove into the tape like I always do. Press bail that hides man inside a zone shell. Catch technique at 5 that stalls timing without panic grabs. Solo coverage down the rail where their late hands erase a throw most corners never see. Click and close that detonates outbreakers when the quarterback hitches. And the one statistic that changes games faster than sacks, ball production. We're not talking vibes, we're talking a 4th-year pro with a 6'4" frame and track fuel who has stacked 11 interceptions and 30 pass breakups already. Numbers that translate directly to EPA and win probability, the difference between our offense getting the ball at midfield or our defense staying out for 4 more plays. He's not flawless, and I won't pretend. Tackling consistency on perimeter runs can waver, eye discipline can drift when QBs bait with play action or a lazy pump, and double moves punish impatience. Those are real coaching points. But this is exactly why fit matters. Our nickel rules are aggressive, our safeties are patient over the top, and our staff is relentless with eyes, leverage, finish corrections, which narrows the variance band for a high traits corner. This city standard on effort, strike, wrap, roll, will close the tackling gap fast, and long levers plus a room that polices details turns eventually down into down at 2 yards, 2nd and 8. Flip to cap and cost, because adults talk numbers. You don't get this archetype for a throw-in, but you also aren't paying peak prime AAV today. He's on a cost-controlled year, extension eligible after, which creates a clean 2-step for us. Acquire now for a day 2 pick, plus a conditional kicker tied to snaps or team milestones. Use November to January to validate fit under our calls, then extend within our valuation band before the market explodes in March. That's not gambling, that's buying certainty ahead of the auction. Ask yourself what a late 2nd or 3rd rounder usually becomes. 2 years of development into solid starter if you nail it. This move potentially gives you plus starter with all-pro upside the minute the verbal checks stick, while the present-day cash hit is minimal and the extension math is predictable because the cornerback market is a published reality. The ripple effects is where I really sign off on this. A true outside eraser with skyscraper length lets Branch be a full-time chaos engine inside, lets the opposite corner play to strengths without living on an island, slows targets to the flat so linebackers can squeeze drags on time, and turns our front simulated pressures into turnover machines since the first read is gone. Situationally, 3rd and 6 becomes our down. press, ride, crowd the outbreaker, force the whole shot while the rush squeezes the pocket. In the red zone, the back shoulder turns from coin flip to don't try me, and fades are wasted throws. On stacks and bunches, the communication stays our superpower. Now add recovery speed that erases the one free release they steal, and tip balls arrive, which is how playoff games swing on 2 snaps you barely remember by Monday. Risk audit stays honest. If the seller's room is banged up at the other corner spot, their price goes up where they bulk. Fair. If another contender jumps in, the pick escalator can push to something nasty. Walk away if it crosses the line. If tackling doesn't tighten by December, you hide him from crack replace calls on early downs until it does. Coaching is usage as much as teaching. None of those scenarios break the thesis because the thesis is about fit, leverage, and timing. You've waited long enough for the name, so here's the reveal you earned by staying. The profile is Tariq Woolen of the Seattle Seahawks. A rare trait boundary corner flagged by multiple execs as available at the right number because scheme is king, and Seattle's current demands ask corners to major in things that don't fully exploit his toolset right now. I'm not here to parade fake certainty. There's a real 50-50 vibe on whether they move him, and their calculus rides on the health of their other starter and their timeline for paying top of the market at the position. Our calculus is cleaner. We're built to win now, we have draft capital without gutting the future, and we have a coverage philosophy that puts his strengths on stage and trims the weaknesses with rules and reps. The install is straightforward. Day 1, press, run, play the ball. Day 10, add bunch answers and crack replace. Day 20, layer in matchup-specific tells we already stole on film. By December, you're seeing a corner who lets us call what we want, not what we can survive. If the move happens, I want it in the final days of October so he gets 2 full game plans pre-bye and hits the stretch with a working vocabulary. If it doesn't, it's because Brad Holmes held the line when the league tried to turn our discipline into their leverage. And that restraint is how you keep a window open longer than one postseason. But make no mistake, this is the right profile at the right time because it widens our man menu, raises our third down ceiling, cleans the red zone, and feeds the pass rush that's already our backbone. I'll land the plane with a clear, professional verdict before I hand it to you in the comments. Tariq Woolen to the Lions is a football fit upgrade with an acquisition cost that sits in the serious but smart range, day 2 pick plus conditional, and a risk portfolio that good coaching can shrink fast. The upside is tangible. Tighter windows, quicker sacks, shorter fields, and playoff games that tilt because your outside corner steals 1 throw per Sunday. Now I want your voice on record. Would you ship a second or a third with a snap-based kicker to get a 6'4" elite speed boundary corner into this room before the bye and let Branch terrorize the slot full-time? Or would you hold for an edge or offensive depth and hope the board breaks your way in March? Where's your red line on the extension number, and how much do you value locking down an outside CB versus saving picks for future flexibility? Drop your take below with specifics, not just vibes, and if this is your first ride with me, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this with the friend who texts you, "Why is the back shoulder always open every Sunday?" Tell him Detroit flipped the switch, and we're watching the same tape the league is betting on.